Bollywood to Hollywood with Rao Rampilla. Today we have a guest, unlike other people. He's our acting teacher and an actor and a director. You name it, he got it. So here is Arthur French. Hello, Arthur.
Oh, pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Ron.
Thank you for this show. It's my honor to have you here. How did you choose acting career? You look very wise and.
I fooled you already if you think I look wise. I kind of did it as a child. I don't know why, but my parents, they sent me to dancing school and to singing school. But I didn't think much of it until I got older. And I started doing it to investigate it. I was home once, I was ill, and so we turned on the television all day, which I never looked at much television. And I began to say, I think I could do that. Then some things I said, I know I could never do it. So I decided to go to acting school. So I enjoyed it. And I knew that I would do it, but as a hobby, I never thought that it would become what would be my life's work, or that I would do it completely. I worked for the Department of Social Services mainly then, and this was like a hobby, I thought. But then it took me over. I don't know if I had much to do with it. I think it just came and grabbed me. And that's how I started. So I studied. I went to a place called Dramatic Workshop at that time, where I was never in his class, but I'm trying
It's
to...
in the New York City?
Here in New York City, yeah. I don't think it exists anymore.
Well,
but
when was that?
It was where the old Capitol Theater was on Broadway. The Capitol Theater, everything is gone now.
Which year was that?
This was like 1960.
Wow.
So
He was a baby.
I decided I wanted to be I was going to go to acting school or to DJ school. I was excited about the DJs on radio mostly. But then I went to the DJ school. I said, the other stuff is too hard. But the school was closed down because they had been cheating people. So I said, well, I'll go to acting school. And that's how it started, and I got involved in it, and it took me over. I don't know that I had much to do with it. It just kind of happened, and I just kind of went along with the flow of the whole experience.
You were famous for that particular show. Is that a car wash or?
Well, that's the movie that's been on for 35 years.
Oh.
And so even the little kids know it, or I guess I don't look much different except I had a little more hair and the beard was dark. But the music was on, and the movie's been on all that time at different times, yeah.
I came in '83, but still, I
still
remember
was
watching
there.
it. Yeah.
And I think it must have been made like, I don't know, 80 something, in the 80s somewhere.
What were you doing in that?
Washing cars.
I had to say it is a white people's car or black people's car.
It didn't matter. We didn't know who. They just came through. I went out. It was kind of the first time I had gone to Hollywood to actually do a movie. So it was a new experience for me. But I did learn, believe it or not, I learned all the mechanics of it, and I was the only person in the cast that knew how to put up the lather and how to really wash the car, just in case I could go back.
But you are also in a lot of plays.
Yeah, I got in, I did a play and have like a kind of miracle story like the movies.
Yeah.
I was doing a play in Little Loft, just a group of us. And one night it was raining. This is a true story. And the guy that ran, no one in their right minds would be out, but we were there. And so we said, what are we going to do? So he says, well, we might as well go home. And believe it or not, 3 people walked in out of the rain. Why they were out in the rain, we'll never know. So I said, well, what should we do? We said, well, we don't want to go out in the rain. It was pouring. Let's do the show anyways. It was about 8 or 9 of us. And we did a show for these 3 people.
Wow.
And one of those people, I'll say his name, Dr. Houston Brummett, I didn't know him, none of us did, decided to produce our little play.
Wow.
And that's how we went off. He took us off Broadway. And that's how I got an equity card, which I never even thought of that I would
What's the name of that play?
It was called Raising Hell in the Sun.
Oh, it was in 62.
Is that what? Oh, you have?
Oh, I did some homework.
Good, I didn't tell a lie. But it was a takeoff spoof of Raisin in the Sun. And so the characters, our hero's name was Sidney Belafonte, which was a combination of Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte. And so that's how my professional career, I had never thought of being a professional actor. I just did it for fun, but then I had to join the union and I was hooked.
Then how did you gotten into directing?
I was in a community theater group with a man named Maxwell Glanville, who I didn't know anything. I think the best thing about what happened to me is I was ignorant and I knew I was ignorant. So I listened.
I think you're humble.
He had a community theater group, but he was very strict. You know, you couldn't do certain things. You had to be on time. You had to get everything done. And I took a directing class just because I loved the whole idea of theater. Sometimes I would sweep the floor or, do makeup. And a play came up, and you could ask to be in a play if you like. We would read lots of plays. And so one day, they read this play, and I said, well, could I be in that? He says, oh, no. He says, another man who had been there, he's going to do that. And he said, I said, well, what about the other part? He said, I'm doing that. So I said, okay. So then he asked me if I wanted to direct it. And I had taken a couple classes, but I was terrified. After I said yes, which my tendency is to say yes, raise my hand. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to direct this man who's been acting for 40 years. What am I going to tell?
Probably it's easier.
But he was so good. He said, okay. And he didn't, I thought he would tell me when I messed up, but he didn't. He allowed me to do it. He followed what I asked him to do. He told me later, but he became an actor. He didn't try to hold my hand or anything. And I guess I lucked up. And
did you direct a lot of plays since then?
I had a point where I was directing and stage managing, and then my acting career sort of took off. I got into the original Negro Ensemble Company.
Wow.
So that made me kind of an actor, I guess. And so I started doing plays, and I guess I didn't plan it. I think I would have done anything. But that's how it just kind of took over, because you do one play, someone sees you in a play, and then you move on. So I've kind of done that and been blessed to do it for now, I guess, almost half a century.
Wow. Then what made you to go into teaching? Teaching acting.
Teaching acting.
Yeah.
I'd never thought of that either. You see, I don't think too much. I did a play that Herbert Berghoff, who was alive then, he directed this play. I was just an actor in it. And then I did 2 plays there. The placards are still up at the studio. And he asked me, would I like to teach an acting class? And I was terrified. And I kind of avoided it, I kept avoiding it. And then Rochelle Oliver, who teaches there, said, well, come and watch my class. So I watched it, and I said, okay, I'll call. So I called Herbert, and I said, Herbert, okay, I'm going to do, what would you, should I teach sense memory? Should I go to, what should I do, exercises? And we were on the phone, he said, tell them what you know. And he hung up. So that's how I started. And I guess I've been there now about 20 25 years or something.
Well, you came to Austin's class, Austin Pendleton's
Yes.
class, and you were my teacher that day a few times.
Yeah.
But you were very clear in pointing people's problems and directing them properly. So that's why I know that you are a teacher. You taught me something that day.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and you always talked about intention. I noticed when you start first thing, you always ask, what's the intention?
Right. Exactly. Because I think you have to know in every scene you want to do something. You have an intention in life, we do, to say, what is this character? What is he trying to accomplish? It could be good, it could be bad. And I try not to tell the actor what it should be, but I want to find out what the actor wants to do with it. So I don't direct the student. I said, well, what do you want to do? Why are you telling this person that? Do you want to kiss them? Do you want to kill them? Do you like them? So I think that's true of every scene in every play. Somebody wants something, was good or bad, and they try to get it. And they may or may not, depending on where the script takes us.
Well, I always was confused. First time when I had in an acting class, acting teacher asked me, what do you want from me? I said, I don't know, I just want to be in your class. Then some other teacher, it was Alan Arkin, he said about intention. So when you started in the class with the intention, it reminded me of Alan Arkin's workshop. It says, well, if you don't know your intention, don't get on that stage.
Well, that's good advice, because then what do? You just kind of say words or you pretend to want something. But if you really want something, and the more you want it, and the more important it is to you, then the stronger it's going to be as to who this person is and what they're after in their life. And of course, there's always somebody who, or some other circumstance that tries not to stop it. So but you have to keep trying to get it.
Well, what is that need in relation to intention? Because when I came to HB again, HB Herbert Berghoff Studios, that's where you teach, they talk about the need.
Right.
So in relation to the intention or want or the object, where that need come from?
Well, I don't think it's a clear delineation to say that an intention is what you want to accomplish, but a need is why are you there? Why are you in this scene? What do I need from that person? What do I need from you? Right now I would say I need you to be kind, because but you have a need within a scene, because if there's no need, there's no scene, there's no play. If one person doesn't need something from someone else or need to accomplish something in any play, someone is always trying to do something. They need something, whether it's good. Again, whether it's good or bad, but they need that for their own reason. They should need it very much, so that you don't have to do anything else like work yourself up or anything. If you really need to borrow some money, if you're really in love with someone and you really want them to know it, it strengthens what you do.
Well, somebody said something. Acting, you have to know it. No one can really teach it. If it's not there, you can only nurture it. That's what they said.
Well, I don't know that that's true. I think we can learn anything. I don't think it's impossible to learn to do it. Anyone can learn, if you go and study, to be anything: a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, an electrician. But there's always someone who is going to take it further, who's going to be a better electrician, who's going to be a better plumber, who's going to be a great doctor rather than just a doctor and which is good to be a doctor. Or one lawyer takes off and is a great lawyer, and someone else is a good lawyer. But I think you can teach the basics of it, whether someone wants to do it or not. That's different.
Because see, children, they don't need to, they have no technique. They don't know. They can be anything they want to be.
Yes, but a child is not demand. Usually all you really want of a young actor is to be who they are, not to be pretentious, not to do anything you say, that's fine. You know, you're a little boy, you're a little girl. You almost can't do it wrong. But as you get older, there are other things demanded of you. It's more and more. As we grow up, as we get older, we are more responsible. You know, our parents aren't taking care of us, so we have to begin to make those choices for ourselves. And nowadays, the kids are making them younger and younger and younger. My grandchildren make their own decisions. They're little kids.
They have their needs, I guess.
Yes, they have their needs. Well, no one really expresses their needs as children do. From a child, you know, a child wants some, baby wants something, he cries. Get me what I want. I'm not happy. So you have to find out, do they need their diaper changed? You know, they have colic. So we learn to express our needs, and we learn to do babies do everything right. You know, they breathe properly. If you watch a baby breathe, you don't see the chest heaving or anything. You just see that diaphragm going. Now, by the time we learn, by the time we get through school, we're in trouble. We have to go to acting school to learn to breathe again properly.
Yeah, I had that problem. I had to go to Tai Chi to adjust my breathing.
Yes, and to adjust our bodies. You know, we develop all kinds of tensions in our bodies. But if you watch a baby does everything perfectly.
I have actually an interesting question.
Sure.
You know, as an immigrant I came, and as a foreigner, as an outsider from India, I came and watched. As a natural setup, African American people, it seems like they used to entertain. I lived in Deep South, Georgia. So they used to entertain their bosses or landlords or masters, whatever. So I think I have a theory. I have a hypothesis that African Americans are naturally inclined to be actors than others in this country. I mean, you have Michael Jackson, you have all these, people from the churches, black churches, became singers and all that. Not that what people can't act or dance or anything, but there is some natural. What was the disadvantage being put in as a slave? Probably in another sense, it may be an advantage now. A natural setup is there, the social setup, where they are inclined to develop certain things naturally. I think African Americans are natural actors.
Well, I don't know that I agree with that one. I think there was a lot of entertaining, because in slavery that was kind of, you know, you might as well keep your boss happy if you didn't want to get beaten or you wanted him to take care of you. I don't know that it's natural. I think it's something that, you know, a lot of the drumming and a lot of the singing were really, because you couldn't talk to they didn't like you to talk too much. So I think it developed from that. I know one of the things, since you brought that up, is that when I started getting serious about acting, and I had taken singing and dancing as a child. I think I mentioned that to you. But I decided purposely not to sing and not to dance.
Why?
Because I didn't want to go into this to simply entertain people, to have people come in, oh boy, he's singing, he's dancing. You know, there's the old minstrel shows. There's the old, you know, vaudeville shows. Even in the Depression, you know, black shows did good because we were singing and dancing and making people laugh. So I made a conscious choice, even though you'll find I don't make a lot of choices, a conscious choice that I didn't want to devote my life to making people to entertain people because I could laugh and dance and smile and, and say, y'all boys, how you doing? So I decided that would be the one restriction on myself. Nobody asked me to do it or not to do it. I don't mind singing. I'm not a particularly good singer or dancer. But I decided if I was going to do it, I would want to do something other than what had been done, 100 years ago or more.
Well, back home I know some actors. Back home is India. And they, I think at least I know one actor, he was influenced by Marxism. So unless there is a social purpose, he wouldn't take up those roles.
Okay.
So is there something like that in your life?
No, I didn't have a political.
I see.
I think it was a personal choice to say I did not, if I might as well stay with the department I was doing if I was going to just get out there and sing and dance and, make fun of things. I mean, we recently had a musical about the Scottsboro Boys, which was a terrible time in history, but kind of said, hey, we're dancing and laughing and entertaining you. So I didn't want to entertain that way. I do love to do what I do, but not just, for fun, for people to laugh.
But do you think that theater should serve a social purpose, like educate people?
I don't think that should be its main purpose. I think if education, if it's a good play, you do learn something, whether it's about politics or about yourself, sometimes just about human nature. So I don't think theater should have, this is my political platform. I don't think it has to have that or needs to have it or anybody should teach that.
What about Negro ensemble theater? Do they have a similar philosophy or?
Well, at the Negro Ensemble Company, which I started, we did plays that were mostly by black writers, even though we employed, at that time, there were people of other ethnic groups that worked with us. But we never did a play and said, we're doing this play because it's a political statement about race or something like that. We did this, if it's a good play, it's a good play, and we can learn something from it rather than have a political agenda. There was another group at that time that did have a political agenda, but we wanted to do good work. We wanted to do good plays and have good actors do them rather than make some anti-government statement or something like that. If people interpreted it something, they interpreted, but we never got up and said, we're for this or we're for that or anything like that, no.
So what do you think of Jon Stewart's show or Comedy Central now talking about a little bit political comedy to the youngsters? I mean, in 60s, you were brought up in 60s, right?
Yes, that's right.
So you have a lot of that open theater, political comedy.
There was a lot of political, serious plays. It was a very kind of political time. Lots of things were happening. It was the whole civil rights movement at that time. But we were doing plays that weren't, quote, black plays necessarily. They were plays that we thought needed to be done, because they were good plays. We did musicals. I can't say I never was in a musical. And we did plays. The first play we did was actually by Peter Weiss, who's a white person, called Song of the Lusitanian Bogey, which dealt with colonialization in Portugal, and that kind. But it was a play. We just kind of presented it. So we didn't come out, this play will teach you something. If it did, it did, but it wasn't a requirement.
Did you ever had a chance to go abroad and maybe in a play or a movie or?
Yeah, we went abroad a lot. Actually, that first play we went to the Aldwych Theater in England, London, representing the United States, and we went to Rome. And then later on went to, I didn't go on that trip, but went to Germany. But we were asked to go, when we went to London and to Rome, We were asked to go representing the United States of America, not representing black people.
United States of black people.
Yeah, well, they had sent someone here to go around the country and to select a company to go.
Which year was that?
Oh boy, now it's getting tough. No, this was more in the 70s. Later in the 70s.
Who was the president? Nixon?
At that time, this was a time we were there when Martin Luther King got. I guess.
Oh, he was still alive. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, he was still alive. He died while we were.
So
doing
that was Kennedy then.
Yeah, doing we did plays by, Caribbean writers, African writers, American writers, some white writers. So we did hold. I guess they call it the diaspora. We didn't stick to fight. We did comedies. We did farces. So that's kind of was my background. So it wasn't about simply protest plays and.
Well, you have seen all the life, like 50, 60 years of acting life, and you are teaching.
Yes.
So, is there anything special you want to say those aspiring black actors or any actor for that matter, foreign actors, or Americans?
It's for everybody, but not for you. No, I would think to take it seriously, to work at it, work on your voice, and interpreting plays. Go to a school, whether it's HB, where I am, or any place. And it's something that's fulfilling, and it's something that communicates ideas, thoughts to people, whatever your individual needs are to be an actor or to be in the theatrical business. What do you want individually? It's not important for me. I can't tell people what they should do, but I can try to help them do what they want to do. And I think that's kind of my philosophy of teaching drama or acting or anything like that.
Are you involved with the new Harlem Renaissance? Now it is coming up.
I was born in Harlem. So no matter what happens, I'm still a little boy from Harlem. I still went to public school in Harlem. But I've never really left to say, well, that's behind me. It never was behind me. I always, when I went to community theater, it was in Harlem. And I met people along the way who wanted, people like Hal DeWint, who wanted theater in Harlem, and Maxwell Glanville, those people who influenced me. So I'll never actually ever leave in a funny way.
Thank you. Until next time, see you all.